Hey Sam.
Hey Cass, how are you going?
Really good. How are you?
I'm really good too. I'm really good. I'm loving this season. I'm loving these guests, and I'm excited for a really special guest again today.
Yeah, I know. How good have the guests been? I've been loving all these guests we've been having on the podcast this season as well.
Yes.
So many amazing ones to come as well. But today I have one of my very best friends, Tran, with us today. Hi, say hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone. How's everyone going?
Hey Tran.
So Tran and I went to school together, and we've been best friends ever since we were 12. And I've seen her change and grow in her career, so it's so exciting to have her on here today with us. I am going to get you to pull your card, Sam, or share with us, the card you've pulled to support Tran's journey.
Yeah. So this card, it says, water the seeds of your intentions, nurture your ideas. And the message in it is, dear human, by now you must already know that you can make anything you want happen. There is so much to do here on this earth, so much magic to create. What are you giving your energy to? Which seeds are you intentionally watering? So I'm excited to hear how this resonates with you, Tran, and what you're doing, and what you're doing in your copywriting business. And then also, I suppose, just on a macro level, for copywriting in general, for anyone listening in their business, it's really going, okay, well, what are you wanting to drill down and focus on, and to get that message through your copywriting? But how does that resonate with you, that card?
Yeah. So with that card, the thing that stuck out for me was, where are you putting your intentions and your energy into? Those specific words really stood out to me, especially if what we're talking about today is copywriting and sales and authenticity, because I find a lot of people just write for the sake of writing because it's a business and that's what we do. But if we get really, really intentional with the words and the energy that we put out there, it comes back tenfold, right? And it's like anything you do. It's the thoughts, the emotions, and then the words and the actions that come through it. So yeah, I found that very interesting with that card.
Amazing.
I think too, hun, because you're a manifester. If we're talking human design, and we've spoken about human design a lot on this podcast, and you're a manifester, which is so interesting because the ideas flow, right? You're the idea queen. So I think for you and your journey, it's okay, what ideas really resonate for you, and which ones am I going to pursue? Because I think that's hard as a manifestor when you're idea. You know, and you're okay, what feels good to me, and what am I gonna sort of pursue? And it's so you in this space of copywriting is just so fitting. You're obviously so passionate about it. So yeah, I feel that pertains to your journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that as well, because as a manifester, and I listened to Jenna Zoe's manifesting my chart a lot when I feel a little bit off track, or I'm being someone that I'm not, or I'm trying on different hats.
Yeah.
So I always go back to listening. Even this morning, I had to listen to my gifts again. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I listened to my gift of being an ideas generator, and it's very true for me, but I also think on some level it's true for all creatives, because as an entrepreneur, we get really entrepreneurial and we have these creative ideas all the time and we want to see them through. So you actually have to pick whichever one that is sitting right for you right now, and just go with that one, and just believe that there is enough time to do all of them.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good. Well, to start us off, can you give us a little introduction about yourself? So, Tran, who you are, what you do, and how you got into copywriting?
Yeah, amazing. So I've always been in the field of sales. I think I'm like any teenager, where it's the first job you get and you go into retail, and people tell me to sell? And I say, no, I don't want to sell. So that journey started for me when I was 15. And I think I still remember the first time someone told me to sell something in my first job, and they said, you need to sell. And I said, I don't want to. So they were really nice. They said, okay, why don't you just start with smiling? Just smile. And that's all I did. And so from then on, that's where I found the authenticity trail of, if you just smile, it breaks the ice, and I don't have to say anything, I can walk away. But immediately they feel warm. And that's the feminine energy that I didn't realize at the time when I was 15. So long story short, I've always been in sales. I've worked for different companies, corporate, private, all that stuff. And then I became a closer, which you kind of close people on a phone call. But then I got into copywriting, which is actually selling with words. And because I'm a bit of an introvert, I prefer to just write my thoughts down. And so it just really happened that, I think I have this gift and I'm just going to try and do it. And I think the first time that I really tried to get into it, I think, Cass, was your sales page, and I did something for Loz, and I thought, okay, maybe I can actually really do this. And it's been 3 years since then.
Wow.
Yeah, and because when you were saying your retail background, because I know that you approach things a little bit differently, and you were
correct,
extremely successful when you were outperforming other people in sales, but you had a different approach to it. So what did you feel that was?
It's funny because my theme in design is doing things differently. That's what I'm here to do. And I'm always here to do things differently. And when I was doing things differently and also outperforming anyone, and what I was doing and I wasn't realizing was I was actually collapsing time and also energy as well. So what I was doing differently was throwing out the rule book. If someone gave me a sales script, I threw that out. If a manager told me to stick with it, I would challenge them. And then after I challenged them, they would say, well, can you be a little bit more you inside the sales script? And I would go away and go, okay, I'll try. I'm not promising, but I'll try. And that's how it would play out. And then I would just find a way to say what I needed to say in my own way. So, and that also meant taking a detour and not doing the obvious thing. So if someone was expecting me to sell someone, say, for example, I used to work at Apple, and Apple sells itself. Everybody knows you walk in a store, it sells itself, their marketing is crazy. But I was really able to hone in just being me. And within 6 months, I had 100% on my performance review. Within 6 months, I was training people. And I think it's also because I flipped the script. I don't know if that makes sense. So when you first start and say, I'm going to say hello to someone and then try and see what they want. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the conversation, you say thanks. I flipped it. I would say actually thank you first. So when people would come in, I'd go, thanks for coming in. I love that you waited. I love that you came in. What have you been looking at? Is there anything that caught your eye? So it was completely different.
Yeah, awesome. And you talk about energy and authenticity a lot in your copy and what you talk about. So can you talk more to that about that feminine and masculine? Because I know that you, I love how you explain that and how it refers to copywriting.
Yeah, so traditionally in copywriting, so copywriting has been around for a very long time. And so part of the challenge that I have is also getting people to understand what copy is. And it's basically the words that you write in your business. But on another level, it's how you communicate something so that people can really connect with you. And that's all strategy, right? Copywriting course has strategy, it has modules, it's how to do or how to sell. The missing link in there is the feminine energy, which is the you being you. It's you nurturing your audience. It's you being in flow state. It's all of that side that is completely missing in such a masculine sell outcome based thing as well. So I'm going to go just very quickly, if that's okay, just into this part of it because I think it's really important. So when you're a creative, right, it's what you're producing. We're like, okay, what are we producing here? We're producing a logo or we're producing a photograph, whatever that you're producing. And then the how you produce your artwork or your photography or your astrology reading kind of just gets put on the back burner, but it's actually the opposite. It's how you produce it with the feminine energy that is actually going to get the what you're producing. And I think that would also make a lot of sense when I say it that way, that it's how you do something. So in copywriting, to circle back to copywriting, what you were saying with the feminine and masculine energy, we are always worried about what are we going to do? What are we going to say? But it's actually how are you saying that makes it different. You could say the exact same words as someone else, but if you're saying it not your way, it's still not going to land and stick.
Yeah, that's so interesting, isn't it? Because you can see what someone else is doing or maybe even see what's done traditionally and think it will work for you and then maybe wonder why it's not working for you. And then that's the missing piece, right? It's injecting your own energy into it.
Absolutely. And like Cass, babe, you would know this as well. Like if you drew something and someone else were to actually try and draw the same thing, it doesn't have the same energy. And that's what we're talking today when words have the same thing. It doesn't have the same energy and same as the content you produce. And to give you a bit of an example as well, even I do it and sometimes I get tripped up. Like last week I posted 2 posts, social media posts, thinking, oh yeah, these are really good because this is what everybody's doing. It's a this versus that. So instead of using this word, write that word. And it felt so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It had the biggest engagement in all the other copywriting people in the industry, but it felt so wrong for me that I deleted it, even if it was going to be the best type of content. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
So what would you say to creatives that are looking to hire a copywriter? Like, do they even need one? What's the benefit of hiring someone like you to do it for them?
Okay, so I am not going to sound like everybody and go, of course you need one, and of course you need to do this, and of course you need to do that. But I will say that everybody at some stage of your business should try it out and see if it's something that you want to do. Because some people are actually, they've done the deep work so that they can actually really understand themselves more, and they are trying to write like themselves more, and they practice and practice and practice and practice. But if you're a person that's really uncomfortable with who you are, or you just need that extra step or extra help, that's where a copywriter or someone like myself in terms of authenticity is going to really help you. Just give yourself that permission to be more of you. That's how I would put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting because the thing is, this is what I find with copywriting, and you and I have worked together, hon, but I feel like, even if someone goes and hires a copywriter, you're not going to hire that copywriter forever, right? So you need to somehow, or that copywriter needs to somehow help you extract your own authentic voice, because you're the one that needs to go back into your business and continue to write in a way that is authentic and has your energy in it and represents yourself. And I guess what we're talking about here in more layman's terms is like just writing how you talk and writing in a way where your personality comes through, and writing in a way where the true you comes through.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, you really, if you, like you said, like if you do want to work with a copywriter, it's or you feel like you're at the stage where you're ready to really up level your copy, it's about working with someone who can help you extract that authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also add to that as well. Some people think that they want to sound more authentic, but when that comes out, their ego or their limiting beliefs and all of these things come up for them, and then all of a sudden they don't want to face it, or they're not ready, or they're trying to emit a certain persona or a brand identity as well. And that's very almost like a push start struggle as well. So if you're at that stage, I would just hold off on having a copywriter until you're ready to go, yes, okay, this is actually what I want to do. Then the copywriter will just come in and actually help put your thoughts and your voice into words that then you can continue on doing.
Yeah.
That's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, are you ready to show up as yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love how, like, through your work, like, it's just so much more than words, like what you're saying, it's strategy. But by working with you, like, for example, I think a sales page is really beneficial to have a copywriter, because the way you question to get like that to the crux of whatever it is that you need to sell, like, that's so beneficial to the creative that's hiring you to get to that point. So, like, sometimes you do need someone else to help you get to that point.
Yeah, you do. Even me, sometimes I get too far into what I do. So we all need help. And I swear, like, I've sent so much work to Cass and go, babe, how does this sound to you? I'm just about to put this out there. So everybody needs help, and it's okay to get the help. And if you don't want full-blown help, you can just do an hour or 15 minutes or just whatever it is that you need to do. There's so many resources out there.
Yeah, I will say that you have amazing templates where you have a structure, but then you get to interject your own voice. And I think that's really, really helpful, especially if you're starting out and you don't quite know how to at least structure something, but then you just want to add in your own tone. I think that's super helpful. But you and I have worked together on my sales page. And I think, like what you were saying before, Sam, about like just helping extract that information. I think as creatives, like, we get so in it, right? Like, we're in it, we're doing what we're doing, we're loving what we're doing. And sometimes we just need help, like, looking at it from a macro level, because we're just so deep in it. And I just know with some of the questions, like you asked me, like, I say to her, like, she's this like annoying child that asks why.
Yes.
But the thing is, it is so important to understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, because then you can communicate that, because you're not used to communicating that. Like, you're not used to digging deep within yourself going, why do I even like paint like that? Or why do I want to teach someone that? Or, like, on a soul level that that's what you want to do, but you sort of go, oh, like, I really need to dig deeper. And a copywriter can really help extract that out of you in order to put together like a really beautifully written sales page.
Yeah, absolutely, hun. So when I remember when we were working together, I would ask you so many different questions, and sometimes I had to ask it different ways and different things. So you need to get someone who can ask a question to get to the bottom of it as well, and just like and release all the expectations from it, just to see where it leads you to as well. I also will say that this morning I actually did a little video testimonial for my own sales page with someone who I was working with, and she mentioned the exact same thing, because I asked her, what was the best thing out of this whole experience, and she said, when you asked the questions. And I said to her, what do you mean by that? And she goes, you asked me all of these questions, and you took the time to really ask questions, and you would call me up on my BS. So if I said, this is why I want to do it, and I would put on my journalism hat, you would say, no, not good enough. No, not good enough. And it helped her actually call her own BS and go, wait a minute, well, whose voice am I speaking through right now? Am I speaking through me, or am I speaking through my journalism voice, or I'm speaking through my another voice, or I'm projecting a different voice? And so that was also very interesting as well.
Yeah. That's I 100% think this is like your superpower. It's like your little like secret sauce. I don't know how you do it. And it makes sense now that you've just shared what you're like with your bosses in retail and stuff. Like you just cut through and just
You're like, no,
tell her how
no.
it is. I love that about you. That's so good.
So if someone's not ready to hire a copywriter, but they do want to start writing in an authentic way, do you
Yes.
have any tips for them of how they could go about it? I'll say one thing because something that helped me is I asked you, what do I say a lot?
Yes.
And there was like common things that I say or words that I say that I didn't even realize I said all the time.
Yes.
But yeah, like how could they dig deeper if they feel like they're ready to be seen in an authentic way? What tips would you give them?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of tips I can give you right now. So I'll chunk it down into two parts. The first part is you really need to get to know yourself. Like really, really need to get to know yourself. And you need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, remove all the limiting beliefs, let go of your ego, any persona identity that you're attached to, in order for you to actually help you come up help you connect with yourself on a soul level, because when you do that, then other people can connect with you so much easier as well. And that's where the copy is going to drive the sales. The second thing is that once you're ready to do that, it's knowing your words and what you say a lot. And that's where your friends come into place and your family and just people around you. And if you don't have that, or you don't want to ask people because you're scared of judgment still of what they'll say, then you can go through your own text messages and you can have a look at what you say. Just read your text messages. You'll find a common theme that you say a lot as well. It's 100% you will find at least 5 things or 5 words or 5 phrases in there that you say, and you can just start there and go, oh, I did not know that about me. And that's how you start the train going.
Yeah, that's such a good tip. I really love that. I was like thinking as you were saying, like, oh yeah, there are things that I definitely say like in all of my text messages.
Yeah.
But like what you were saying, you have to like be okay with yourself first, and remove that judgment of like, you know, like if you swear a lot or if you, I don't know, speak more bogan or like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Remove that judgment first, because you are you and you're meant to be you for a reason. And something that I hear a lot, which, you know, is such a great reminder, is that like there is someone for everyone. So, you know, if you're teaching something, if you're sharing something online or whatever it is, you know, there's a certain audience that's going to resonate with you because you are you. And if you dilute you, they're not going to see the real you. So, you know, I know the people online that I'm drawn to the most, and they are the ones that are just unapologetically themselves, you know, and like warts and all, swearing and all, whatever. I'm like, yeah, yay, you do you, because then that gives me permission to be me.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will add to that as well. Some people get caught on the professional. How can I stay professional, but I want to swear? Or how can I look like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm really Australian? Or any of that stuff. Like there's this whole like looking professional thing. And I just want to say that being a professional in your copy or anything that we do, it's not the fact that you can't do your job. It's just the way you sound, but you can do your job. So if you know that you can produce it, just be you, because the testimonials or the case studies or whatever it is, whatever that you produce is just going to come out through the way you communicate. It's not, I have to be professional in a way. Obviously, if that's you, then absolutely, that's fine as well. But I just want to say for the people who are struggling with that, then it's definitely not the case. And we just have to look around the room to actually know that that's not the case at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
And it's a journey, right? Like I feel like the more you get used to writing like that, or the more you show up online, the easier it is over time to be yourself, because you get that validation back that, oh, it's okay to be myself. And then so you relax deeper into that. Oh, okay, I might share this, which I maybe never would have shared before. Or I remember one of the best performing blog posts I did was like, I was just so fed up with being a mom that week that I was like, this is freaking hard. Like, this is so hard to run a business and have little kids. And I just vented about it, not really thinking much of it. And then, I just got such a massive response to that. And I was like, oh, okay. It goes a long way to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a good word, like honest. Like, is this really honestly me? And if your answer is no, you need to scrap it. And there's no thinking about it again, because that's going to really hurt your brain. So if it's no, get rid of it, start again and go, what is honestly me?
So good. So good. I love how like it's been really clear through everything you've said how in tune you are with like the energetics of business, and how like you really do live like a soul-led life and business. Can you share an example of where you've really followed your intuition and maybe done something not in the typical business way, but in the way that felt right for you?
In terms of the way doing something that was really intuitive to me, and something that really stood out to me was probably the sales and copywriting side of it, because traditionally it's so salesy. And I did do a course as well just to see if this is something I wanted to do, and I thought maybe I needed to do a copywriting course, but I didn't, because the copywriting course was just the same old strategies and the same old things going over around. So what I did was that I followed people on YouTube, and it was really funny because I would follow different copywriters and salespeople on YouTube that just had glimpses of the tiniest little things that resonated with me. And then I picked up all those pieces together. And then there was this one sales page that I loved. I loved it so much that I wrote it out by hand. Every single day I wrote it out so that I could get the flow of how sales strategies and copywriting works.
Yeah.
That's how I actually got the flow. So I would literally write it out, even if I still remember it, even if this or even if that, and I would write out the headlines, and I would write out even the testimonials, because the testimonials are really important to back up the sales page. So I know that a lot of people wouldn't do that because that's hard work, or they would see it as hard work. But sometimes if in order to do things differently, you have to do the things that other people don't do. So that's what I did over and over again. I got the flow of things and I said, okay, why isn't everybody writing this way? This is such an amazing sales page. So I just decided to come up with different things that worked for me. And then I thought I'll play around with music. So one of my posts, I say, listen to music to put energy into your sales page. So if I'm writing a sales page for a client, I will listen to a music that I think would go hand in hand with their words. And then it would just give me this kind of this energy to actually put into it as well. Or I would sit in a cafe that was emulating the brand that I was writing for. So I started to do all of these different things. And I know some people just stay at home and work from the one place and maybe have a ritual, but I would literally choose energy points that would help me write the energy for those words.
Yeah, that's
so cool.
Like that reminds me the exact same as painting, because you just So basically when you start painting, you use something else to learn technique. So you might watch a YouTube or something like that to learn technique and repeat the strokes to go, okay, cool, they did a brush there and a brush there and a brush there. Then you put your own spin on it and your own flavor and your own energy and then make it yours. And then to get different inspiration for your creativity, then you can, you move around, you visit the beach, you visit go into nature and all that sort of stuff. It's so similar, that creative process. And I think what you've done is you've taken the true creative process and you've injected it into copywriting, which typically and in the past has been very just vanilla and very masculine based.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And even now, if you have a look at the Instagram, I'll do drawing and I actually have an affirmation. And I truly believe this. And I say this to myself every single morning. The more creative I am, the more sales I make. Because the more creative I am, the more I do the creative things I love, the more I can actually put into my sales copy and all of that other stuff as well, which will actually create the sales or create the energy or create the flow. So yeah, definitely very, very creative form into a masculine strategy based form.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just going to ask about what a lot of people are talking about at the moment is Chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that, I've tested it out. I haven't used it for my own business. Have you tried it, Sam?
I actually haven't used it. No. I went to go
Yeah.
test it the other day and I got distracted. But yeah, I do want to try it.
What are your thoughts around it and using it in conjunction with what you're talking about?
Okay, so there's a lot of things going around at the moment with not even like with ChatGPT AI, yes, but there's also a lot of AIs floating around now that I've seen as well. And a lot of copywriters or writers, content writers, are getting very worried about it because they're saying, well, if someone can produce the content or come up with captions or a software can do it, what's the point of me even doing it anymore? So I do want to also clear the air that AI is a software. It was built by people who sat around and said, how can we actually do this better? Or what are we going to do here? It was all strategy. It was all meeting based. It was all coding and all of that stuff. And all of that stuff is also amazing stuff. But that's also masculine energy. So the system itself holds masculine energy. And so I believe that you also need to put the feminine energy into the software to create this kind of wholeness around the words. So absolutely you can use it and copywriters can use it. And sometimes I even use it. So I have used it as well to see what it's like. But it will spit out the same answers for me after a while when I'm doing the same thing. It will spit out the exact same answer. So you also need to edit that in some shape or form. So the two things, absolutely. So the two things that I would say is that first of all, you still need to know what your voice is. And where AI comes in is that it really does help you with the content of it. So if you go, okay, so this is my idea, give me some ideas. So you go into the AI system and that's a strategy. Come on, give me some ideas. Write me out the modules or the course outline, whatever it is that you need it to do. And it will spit you out this amazing thing that I love it. I really do. It'll just spit you out this amazing thing. And then what you want to go ahead and do is, okay, so how do I sound? And in a lot of my copies at the moment, I use a lot of angel or goddess or, Huns or babes. And I'm very sharpshoot, this is it. That's what it is. The AI is very essay focused. It's very Stanford University. It's university talk. So you need to chunk that down, make it more conversational to the way you talk and go, okay, well, how would I say this? So it does help you. And so where you put the feminine energy is the way you actually edit that afterwards. But I wouldn't disregard it at all, but I wouldn't actually say, this is the be on. Can't replace it. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool, actually. I like the way that you use it as a tool to just do your work that's still you and your authentic work. But that's cool that it's a tool that you actually do strategy-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. I went into their website, and for those who haven't been into the ChatGTP website yet, go and have a look at their website. Don't be scared of it. It's really just another Google, search engine system that does a different thing. And the people around it are really passionate about it. And the reason why they created it, so their mission or their vision around it, to give you some context, is because they want entrepreneurs to actually be able to produce content faster. So it's supposed to help us and it's supposed to be a really good thing. So use it as the good thing it's supposed to be for. And we can all, that can actually help you.
So good. So good. So what would you say at the moment is the biggest challenge in your business, like in your journey in your business?
Yeah, so my biggest challenge at the moment is probably educating people on what, or the audience or anybody on what copywriting is, because it's still, some people, if you've never heard of it before, you can still say, well, what is copywriting, and do I need a copywriter? It's just words, I can write it myself, which is absolutely fine. But it's just that educational around, what is copywriting, because everybody knows what a social media manager is and all that stuff. So that's one type of, I guess, challenge that I would have to say. On top of that, because I'm also not trying to, but because I do things differently on top of something that is already something that I have to educate people is the energetics as well. So now I've added another element of sales energetics and how you can put sales energy into that, and the masculine and the feminine energy. So that also has been like another underlying challenge. But I have to say, for anybody out there who's wanting to do things differently, the more things that you want to do differently, the harder it is for people to copy you.
Yes, that's so true, because no one can be you. And I mean, I think copywriting is probably the most underrated thing, because, a lot of people are probably like, oh, I can just do that myself, or I can just go and have a look at so-and-so's website and see how they do it or whatever. But when you read a website that is unmistakably that person, it feels like you actually are getting to know that person, and like they're speaking to you, like and you can't replicate that. It's so powerful.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even I had someone, I was just on another podcast, and the person that I was speaking to, she's like, as soon as you post something, I know it's you. Like, I know it's your post. How do you do that? So I think that's where the copywriting is supposed to help. If you have a copywriter that, well, is supposed to do what it needs to do. But even in like your sales page, Cass, like when we did your sales page, we really tried to go, okay, how can we inject a lot more you or personality into it as well? So if anybody goes to your sales page, they just immediately feel like this is so you, like it flows. And Sam, you can, I don't know, like your thoughts on that, like when you read Cass's sales page, like you feel it's her.
Absolutely. Yeah, you feel her energy. It's like talking to her. It's like being immersed in her world. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you were saying as well, Han, when you were saying that it's you.
Yeah. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, you just have to be okay with like, I can only show up as me. I can't show up as anyone else, and I don't know how to show up as anyone else, and that's all I can do is show up as me. And so if you vibe with me, amazing. If you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But you got to be at a level where you are ready to be okay with, with your enoughness. That's a word.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's make it a word.
It is a word.
Yeah.
Enoughness.
It is a word. Yeah, enoughness.
Yes.
All words are made up, right? So enoughness.
Yeah, that is true. Coming from a copywriter. And lastly, what advice would you share with an emerging or established creative entrepreneur other than do things differently?
Well, it's definitely okay. So in terms of like copywriting, if you're emerging, your first job as an emerger and you're starting out is just to get to know yourself. Because even if it's not copywriting, you're still going to have to sell, and you're still going to have to put yourself out there, and you're still like, people are going to have to be bought into your brand. So you still really need to, that's your first and only job. Get to know yourself, who you are, what you want to do, and all that stuff. If you're in a kind of years down the track and you've gotten to know yourself in terms of the copy, but you're still at a place where you're figuring that out, then I would say the templates would really help you get your words out. So if you go to my templates, and this is definitely not a plug-in, you can go if you don't have to, but if you feel like you need to, then the templates are there for people to actually go into there and just put the words into it, so you don't have to think about, is this going to work, or am I sounding like me? You just put your words in there, and it's very prompt based, so it's not a fill in the blank with someone else's voice, which has also been a really big problem with templates, and I really tried to do something differently there as well. That's the next thing. But if you're at a place where you're playing at a high level of frequency now, as well, and you're breaking a different glass ceiling, then go ahead and hire a copywriter for a sales page, or write your own sales page, or you can get me to help you write your sales page, so that then you're playing in a field of, okay, I kind of know where I am now. I've kind of written some things here. Now I'm actually going to put my voice into a full-on sell mode, because that's the biggest part of resistance. How do I sell and sound like me and not sound like, an idiot or a pitch or something like that? So people don't want that. So that's the other thing. Or you can just hire a copywriter to do everything for you if you don't have the time. But that's, if you've got money to spend, then you can just go ahead and do that.
So good. So good. I think it really is worth the investment. Like, I think personally, I'm someone that I'm comfortable with myself and sounding like myself, but I'm not very comfortable with selling. So I find it hard then to sound like myself and sell something. So that's like where I really benefit from working with someone like you, because like it just takes all that out of it. And then when I read it the way you write it, I'm like, it's not even salesy. This is great. No. So I think it really is worth the investment, because it's hard when you're inside your own mind sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And sales is just like a few dot points and a few prompts here and there that you need to just cover the bases, but everything else is just the way you communicate it. So it's really simple. I say it's really simple, but everyone's saying no.
But it's rethinking how sales works, though, because like what you just said, Sam, it's like you think that on your website you have to sell, right? Because that's all we've seen. But it's not like that. It's like we need to share from a soul level of what we're doing and why. Yes. And then that is the sell. Yes. That sells itself. Yes. It's not a salesy thing. It's like just rewiring your brain to how that actually works.
Oh, so true.
Yes. Absolutely. And babe, I'm just going to mention it, but we put on your website, the selling is sharing more of what you love. And I've heard it, like I've heard different people use it now. It's spread like wildfire, but I swear 3 years ago when we were writing up your sales page, like we've never even heard that phrase used before or anything. So I do want to give credit to actually diving deep and, putting it out there first. And that's what we mean by being authentic and true to you. Because when you do that, you come up with these things that only you come up with because like you thought of it. It's your own insight into everything you've ever known in your whole entire life. And that has come out there as well. So I do want to just say that, come up with your own things.
Yeah. And it's like any creative pursuit, like you really need to get to know yourself and your own life experiences and what inspires you in order to actually create and have a voice in this, in the space that you're in. So copywriting is just like another facet to that. It's got it's such similar principles. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's just selling with words.
Yeah.
Selling with its work boots on. I'm going to hashtag that. Selling it's just selling with its work boots on.
Oh, so good. Well, I feel like really covered a lot actually, and made it clear now. Like if anyone was listening and had never heard of copywriting, or maybe you were like, oh, do I need help? Don't I? I really hope this has helped. I think it will have, because I think that you really clearly shared that. So thank you so much for doing that. And for, you're so obviously so clear that you're best friends with Cass, because you're so on the same wavelength as us in the way that you speak and live your life from like that energetic spiritual point of view. So it's been so cool to hear that as well through everything you've said. So thank you. But how can people find you and work with you?
Yay. Thank you so much for having me, guys, as well. Like, this has been really fun and I've had a really great time. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. So people can work with me. You can just jump onto my Instagram first and just see if you connect and that all resonates with you. And if it does, then you can book in a 15-minute call or an hour of power. But if you're just ready to actually just go for it and see how it happens, then templates for sure. And it's a whole library of templates. And like I was working on this like 3 years ago, so a long time ago. And I remember the first time like Cass and I were talking about it, like every single template you can think of. Like there's a template, like an about page for a VA, there's an about page for a creative, there's an about page for an artist, there's an about page for like everyone and every thing you can think of. There's a homepage for this, there's a homepage for that, there's a homepage for a product-based business. There's even Pinterest blogs to generate traffic to go to your website. There's email launches, there's welcome email launches. So it's a whole library of stuff. So if you're saying that you're stuck for words, it's there. I promise you it's there. You won't be stuck. And that's the whole point of it, to get you unstuck.
And what's your Instagram handle?
At Voice Ritual.
At Voice Ritual.
Yeah.
And is your website the same?
Yes.
.com.
.co.
Doing things differently. It's got to be different.
I know, things got to be different. I don't know, it's because I'm not tech savvy. See, this is where I'm not. It actually belongs to me. .com belongs to me. VoiceRitual.com belongs to me, but I have no idea what I did or where I've hidden it. It's actually .co.
No intention for it to be.
No.
Oh, too funny.
Yeah, so I know someone's not using it. It's still mine, but I just don't know where it is. I don't know where the domain is.
Too funny. Cool. All right. Well, everyone can go and check you out there. Get some more tips and tricks on authentic copywriting as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you come over, I'll say hi. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys.
No, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.